deeply opposed to crypto.
Last year, cryptocurrency funded every kind of dangerous criminal.
But I would not touch crypto in a million years.
Bitcoin is going to zero.
If I was the government, I'd close it down.
People are losing money in scams and huckster flim-flam artists.
These people who own these things should not own your money in any of those. I do think you're an idiot, okay?
It's over.
Go fuck yourself. Yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. What do you do?
All right. Good morning, everybody. Sorry I wasn't around on Wednesday, but it looks like I missed some interesting times, at least between Wednesday and Thursday. It's been a hell of a week, and really the last month. I hope everybody's doing well today, though, and they're staying sane. Again, I know markets are dropping hard. I just wanted to talk to some of that right now. Bitcoin, I said there's only two other times in its history, at least on Coinbase, which has been around for a decent amount of time, where we've seen a weekly RSI where we're at right now. That was the 2019 bottom bear market over here. And even the COVID, the start of the pandemic, when it wicked Bitcoin down really hard to 3,000, the RSI did not drop lower than where we are right now. It's really the 2019 bear and the 2021 bear. That's the level that we're at right now. That just shows, Jesse, when will this stop? I'm tired. I get that. You should go out on a walk, man. Go enjoy your life. Hopefully nobody is in leverage, at least nothing in regard to crypto. And if you are, hopefully like you're in a long leap where you've got years for it to play out. Because if you are, people that are doing that are just going to get fucked. Everybody who isn't, though, you can just ride it out. Because again, even if we look over here, when we hit these levels on the deeply oversold RSI, I'll just put this on the big screen here. When we hit these levels previously, if you waited a year, you were up like crazy, right? Or up a lot from where we are right now, or from where you were at the time that we hit those levels compared to where we are right now. So I think there's a number of things going on right now. I think there's a narrative about the Japanese yen carry trade unwind and just the mechanics of that and them having to dump U.S. equities. That's such an overplayed narrative. I don't think it makes a lot of sense right now, but it's a narrative, and that's all that matters. We have what I think is probably the biggest issue, which is the 3x worst liquidation event in Bitcoin history. Or I should say crypto history, because that was a lot of what got slammed 6 weeks ago. It was less about Bitcoin and it was more about the shitcoins. But market makers got utterly destroyed. Tom Lee talks about that. We'll watch a video in a second that goes over some of that. And then there's just a number of other little narratives that get people scared. I think the biggest one, though, is Bitcoin and crypto started dropping first, and they started dropping hard. So they're the ones that were leading the way. And I think it's clear that something happened, or people are worried at the very least of an event like what we saw in 2022, kind of the capitulation. If you look at this chart again, I'll pull it up. Right over here is where FTX collapsed, okay? So when they collapsed, this thing dropped hard, and then we got a bunch of other news about other exchanges and potential for even Binance to go under. Everybody was scared. Everybody was pulling their crypto off exchanges, and we just had some crazy, wild impact, right? I think that was a pretty massive deleveraging event. Right now, we've got some quantitative tightening type stuff from that, where people, I think, are worried that we're looking at an FTX type event behind the scenes, and people can't quite put their finger on what it is. But Tom Lee even mentioned in one interview that he's been hearing chatter about some companies that were having problems. So I think there's something out there. My boy Jesse, I put half my savings into STRC and the other half into the money market fund. I'm salty. What money market fund? Their money market fund? Yeah, I don't. The STRC stuff, I like the idea of those. I think if you were going to do that, though, sadly, the timing would suck. I don't think this cycle is going to work for you. Even the SATA vehicle, too, if you look at those vehicles, they're plummeting along with everything else because people are worried about Bitcoin and crypto, and they're worried about MicroStrategy and these treasury companies. They're worried about the viability of any of this. And when there's peak fear in this industry, I think the last thing you want to be holding is the equivalent of the bonds or the preferred offerings of these companies, because they guarantee a certain return, but they can roll over stupid fucking quick and plummet into the ground. But one thing that I do like, and Mike Alfred was talking about this the other day too, a normal money market fund. Yeah. So that's good at least. At least you have something that's uncorrelated, because I think that's like the big thing that you want to pay attention to. Mike Alfred was talking about this the other day when he did his interview with Natalie Brunell. Extreme hottie in the Bitcoin space. I love that lady. I love her because she's hot, because she's good looking, has kind of a lazy eye. I do too. Whatever. I won't count it against her. But at the same time, she is absolutely fucking brilliant. But that interview with Mike and Natalie, Mike was talking about how he wouldn't want something like STRC in a bear right now. And so you got to remember, he's also, when he's saying that, even though he's been pushing Strive, and I think he's sitting close to 2 million shares on that now, they have their product, SATA, which is very similar in nature. But he was saying, hey, I don't really look for income strategies, but if I was going to get an income strategy, I wouldn't get one that's correlated to Bitcoin and fears that Bitcoin's dropping. I would get one that isn't. And that's why I pulled up this TLT chart real quick. And then I want to jump in and listen to Tom Lee's voice, because I know people have concerns. I want people to kind of look at what the problems are, and then I'm going to give you your daily dose of hopium, and realism, but hopium too. But the thing I do like, so we've been talking for a while about how TLT, the 20-year bond, is drastically oversold, and how it looks like it could be entering a breakout zone. And so I've got leaps that go all the way out until 2027, because I think the timing would be like the first part of this next year where we have some major kind of like meltdown, and or by the end of next year, where we'd have some kind of meltdown in markets. I was hoping, I didn't think it would be October, November, and December. I didn't think it was going to be that, right? I didn't think it was going to be that, but whatever, things happen. Looking back at it in hindsight, there were so many crypto bros and people that had bought stuff in AI, stuff in nuclear, stuff, HPC plays. There were so many crypto bros and investor bros that were shitting all over everybody else. They're like, if you haven't made 100, I saw one guy, he's like in his 20s. He's like, if you haven't made at least 100% this year, I'm going to fucking block you. That should have been a really good indication that we were nearing dangerous territory in a short-term top. And again, there's a number of other things I've been posting about too. Margin debt, just like the height of equities, valuations. And like we talked about before, real quickly here, and again, I wish I would have executed better on this. I didn't. I got out of leverage before some of the recent craziness, which is great. But I was forced out of some of the rest because I was trying to play catch up to an arbitrary number that I put on a sheet. And that never helps your investments. But if we look over here, again, we're getting pretty toppy. We hit the .618 perfectly. The NASDAQ looks like this too, okay, where we hit this and then rejected off of it. I would love to say that the bottom is right now. I would love to say that. And it could be. We're in a nice little volume gap over here on the S&P. There's a lot of charts that look like they're at the bottom. If you look in the bottom right corner, you might not be able to see it too well, but there's actually a line over here that goes back 4.5 years. That was the previous resistance line back in the middle of 2021 and then the end of 2021 when the Fed started raising rates at the most aggressive rate in history. So we're at a strong line of support. And again, the chart I just showed you, at least in Bitcoin land, we can see that we've got one of the worst weekly RSIs ever. The only two times that were worse were the bear market in 2019 and the bear market in 2022. That's it. That's it. I think it's near, but I do want to say like the price action we had yesterday, and I honestly didn't even see it until later in the day. And I think the thing that scared people the most is things like Iron and Cypher and like a bunch of these other HPC plays. People were trying to play catch up on those because it started running up. Somebody's like, "Hey, that was an obvious bear flag." I'm like, "Yeah, you could say it was an obvious bear flag, but when it was up here, it looked like it might be getting confirmation where it wasn't a bear flag and that we were actually breaking out." But yeah, looking at Iron, it does look like a bear flag. The part that I didn't like right here, here's what I don't like, is that there's a few charts. There's just, I think this weekend could be the ultimate blowout in the pain, because there's a few charts that just represent that, like that we're not done yet. Which makes me think that in Thursdays, like basically Monday and Tuesday have been the good days during the week. Anything after that has been brutal. So if we just look at the measured move here, it gets us pretty close to the 35 range. And I know that sounds nuts, but we're already at 43.80. So 35 just isn't that far away for Iron. But think about this. Think about buying this shit yesterday. You finally start chasing. You don't catch falling knives, right? You're not a falling knife catcher. You're a chaser. And so you finally are like, "Oh, dude, Iron's starting to get away from me. I'm going to buy it at 53.80. And then it immediately proceeds to shit the bed and go down to 39.93. And you've lost more than 25% of your investment. And what is the equivalent to probably like 8 hours, right? That's not fun. That's not fun. So honestly, like being a falling knife catcher, if you would have bought it over here or bought it here, you would have done better than people that tried to chase it yesterday. That's one thing I wanted to throw out there. Real quickly though, I do think things are going to get better. I want to jump over it. So again, CNN Fear and Greed Index at 6 right now. This is one of the lowest levels ever. We're going to look through a chart of that. The crypto index, one of the lowest levels. Again, like everything is just screaming lowest. We did get a little bit of an uptick. We were down to 33% for a Fed rate cut for December 10th. That's not far off. That's only 2 weeks away, a little over 2 weeks. But now it's up to 41.1, so that did improve a little bit. Yeah, we can look at other charts too. Hood got absolutely smacked yesterday, down almost 11%. Could be finding support on the next fib line right here, but we'll see. It also, again, it looks like an ugly pattern. Shoulder, head. It did do the measured move on this kind of double top over here, but if this is a head and then we get a little bit of a shoulder and we roll over, it could get much more painful. That's why I'll probably take it slow today. I don't know. I might cash a little bit of TLT out. I probably won't. I like the fact that the 20-year bond is doing what it's supposed to do right now, and the 10-year is too. And they're getting weak, and the yields are rolling. I should say this. They're not getting weak. People are getting excited about them because they're like, maybe STRC and SATA aren't the places where I can put my money and have it be safe if there's a collapse in crypto or a collapse in high growth stocks or a collapse in so many other things. So I think what they're doing is they're looking at the bond market and saying, maybe this is a better choice. And so I could see a lot of people pivoting and changing their mind after some of these moves with STRC. If they don't change them now, then if we have further drops, they'll definitely change them. And they'll start to look towards the bond market, because the bond market, again, is it had its major drop, right? It had its major drop. This thing went down how far? 55% from the top that it had back in March of 2020. That's when things ended for this, because bonds were getting bought up and gobbled up like crazy before the pandemic. Once the pandemic happened and people realized the money printer was going to go burr like a motherfucker, then they got worried about bonds and everybody jumped out. And we had a rout in the bond market, depending upon where you're looking at it, anywhere that was as bad as the 17 to early 1800s. So the monumental events over timelines that are hundreds of years. So this thing's already had kind of, again, its big drop off. And I love it because the calls that I have, again, go out to mid-2026 to 2027. And all I need is a 22% move, and I can get a 10 to 20x that And so I do like this, and I don't know, I might just buy a little bit today. We'll see. I do think the market feels like it's really overdone and it's bouncy. But I might just save my TLT. I might just not do anything. and just kind of let this play out. Trump is interestingly silent. Yeah, maybe. Can't believe BMR is 25 to 26. Yeah, there's a lot of things dropping like stones right now. Real quickly, though, we'll look at economic stuff in a second, too. So far, 0 of 30 indicators have triggered for the Bitcoin market top. So that's a good sign. We got that to hold on to. Let's listen to Fundstrat super fast, though, and get his take on the day.
Good evening, FS Insight family and community. Today is Thursday, November 20th, and this is our Macro Minute. The holiday season is here, and as you know, that brings us to the Black Friday sale. It is the single best time to...
All right, I gotta love the fact that Tom Lee is shilling his Black Friday sale on a day, and I mean he's got to do it, right? He's got to do it. I'm not shitting on Tom Lee. I love this man, and I think he's a good dude. But Black Friday sale for his product on a day where the BMNR product is down 84% from its high. He's going to get a lot of shit for that. But I love Tom Lee, and you should sign if you want an opportunity to get a really great product. This is it. Tom Lee is great. Again, I know people have very short attention spans and have completely forgotten about how much money they would have made listening to Tom Lee since the bottom of the bear market in 2022. But you would have made a shit ton of money. And I made 600% in 2023, and it's partially because of people like this. So I don't know. It's not a bad day to do that. Also, TradingView is offering 80% discounts too, up to 80%, depending upon what you're using. So if you're ever going to get these products, Black Friday every year is the time to do it. Every year.
To acquire or gift the FS Insight membership. Members can save up to $886 during this Black Friday period. So please don't pass this up. It is the single best time of year to save money on a subscription.
What he said.
Equities had a disappointing day. NVIDIA reported good results, and stocks initially rallied 2% at the open. But at 10:36 a.m., markets peaked and staged a pretty sizable decline with a 3.5% decline into the close. And that took us down 1.6 for the day. Now, again, I think many people are disappointed because NVIDIA had great numbers. So what caused this reversal? Well, it's not always clear why stocks fall, but we do think there are 5 possible explanations for this. First, I think one factor behind the meltdown was that there were some tweets that created a little bit of outrage on social media. And it was President Trump responding to some Democratic veterans.
I'm going to disagree with Tom Lee here and just say that these tweets don't really fucking matter at all. These first part, I disagree.
Suggesting that they can ignore orders from Congress. And that first tweet was at 9:17 a.m. The second one came at 10:21 a.m. He said, seditious behavior, punishable by death. Now, notice the timestamp. That's 10:21, and the market turned down just a few minutes later.
If people are selling off because of that comment, they have to have TDS. They really do. If you don't understand Trump by now.
That tweet led to Democratic Congress members and leaders protesting the death threats against Democratic members. Now, the second thing...
Funny fact, Hakeem Jeffries was getting money from Epstein even after he found out that there were concerns with him. So wouldn't it be great if he was somehow, if he spent time at Pedo Island? Would love that.
That I think did contribute to the decline is the release of the Epstein files.
I'm sorry, what is the rate cut now on the CME? Did it update again? Are you sure it's that high? Let me refresh. There's been a lot of chatter. We're actually going to look at a video. Holy shit. So we got our rate cuts back on the table. You got to love how markets work. You got to love it.
So President Trump signed the Epstein...
Here, real quick, I'm going to... Give me 1 second here. I'm gonna post something while this is going on. I'll hit play.
Files Transparency Act into law, and now has ordered these files to be released. There's going to be a lot of people in those files. In fact, for instance, here's someone pointing out that it could even embarrass many donors, billionaire donors. So you can imagine.
This is a real thing.
There might be investors who are just nervous. Who's going to be on that list? And it's revealed. Does it do something to markets?
I think that
contributed to some of the nervousness today. The third factor is crypto. Bitcoin has been selling off recently and generally has led the equities. But you can see at the open, Bitcoin peaked and began to weaken at 9:30, and the S&P followed basically an hour later. This has been the case for some time. It's something I pointed out, that Bitcoin has been leading the S&P. For instance, Bitcoin peaked on October 10th. That's right before we had that liquidity shock, which ended up being the biggest liquidity shock in the history of crypto, wiping out more than 2 million accounts. And Bitcoin's been falling since. But as you can see here, this has led to the S&P spider peaking on October 29th. And, it's something I was interviewed on CNBC today, and I mentioned that since October 10th, there was this feature called ADL that caused a significant amount of liquidations, and it was really due to a pricing error. But that pricing error has not gone, has created significant holes in the balance sheet. In other words, the reason crypto has continued to have lingering weakness is that market makers who play a critical role have weakened balance sheets from that liquidation event on October 10th. Now, market makers are essential to crypto liquidity. They're essentially acting like central banks because they provide liquidity. And their pulling back is the equivalent of QT for crypto. So you can imagine crypto is suffering from tightening conditions along with a hawkish Fed. Now, in 2022, when a similar event happened because of FTX, it took 6 to 8 weeks to recapitalize those market makers and for market function to recover. So we're about 6 weeks into this process. The fourth factor is Oracle and CDS, because there was quite a lot of chatter about this. As you know, there's many skeptics of AI, people even questioning NVIDIA's numbers, but what's catching people's eyes is Oracle's credit default swaps are rising. This could be investors.
If you guys are in technology, I think you realize that if you're just like somebody like me, you realize that we're at the start of an AI bubble and that the demand is very real. If you listen to the NVIDIA earnings call, if you listen to Elon Musk, if you listen to Sam Altman, if you listen to any of these guys, we're starting this. It's not finished. It's nowhere close to done. But there are old boomer motherfuckers or people that are retarded that think that the AI bubble is over. And I should say this, people that, or just another category is people that just want insurance for when it is over. And so the credit swaps for Oracle are just exploding. And I think, and so to be clear what this is, guys, when people made money off of the collapse in the real estate market, it was with credit default swaps. So this is like insurance against Oracle going insolvent. And so you can see how it's just exploded higher. And so the other category of people are just people that are like, hey, you know what? I'm still long on all this stuff because I understand the truth, but I want insurance for when it does blow up. And so the smart people get in early on that. And that's why you're seeing this massive spike right now. This will probably come down a little bit once the market starts to go higher. And guys, in pre-market, it looks like we're getting ready to go higher. We'll have to look at a few other things like Oracle stock, but it does look like we are. But anyway, that's what this is.
Hedging against AI downside by buying the CDS. That's what some people are positing. But in any case, it's not pleasant for someone to think that one of the key players in this AI build out is actually seeing its credit spreads widen. And finally, it's the VIX. The VIX actually went down at the open, which would have been a positive thing. But as you can see, it reversed higher and hit 28, which is a 1-month high. But we should also put that 28 in perspective for now. It could be worse tomorrow, but 28 is basically where the VIX peaked on October 10th. And that gets us to equities. Well, for the month of November, S&P is down 4.4%. That's a pretty big decline, actually. It takes us back to where we were on October 10th. But you can see that's a one-day spike, just like October 10th. And stocks recovered after that point. I think that that's a similar setup because at the end of the day, the fundamentals haven't actually worsened. AI visibility is strong. The job market's holding up. In fact, it did pretty well in September. So I think stocks are going to recover. So we want to buy this dip. I know it's no fun. We still want to stick with the Mag 7, Bitcoin, and Ethereum, as well as industrials, financials, and small caps on what we expect to be a dovish Fed. So stay on target and keep in mind, this is still a most hated V-shaped rally. Thanks.
I got to say, I do agree, guys. I 100% agree with that. And again, so somebody said, why is the probability of a rate cut going up? So there's a number of reasons why that could happen. If the Fed is getting worried and they're looking at the potential of having to provide some kind of emergency liquidity, if they want to be able to avoid that, the smartest thing they can do is go along with what the market is demanding right now, which is lower rate cuts or rate cuts and lowering the yield. And we know that the market wants that because the more that the Fed talks hawkish, the market rejects that. You can see it in the headlines. You can see it in the timing. The markets do not like the idea of not lowering rates. They do agree that a government shutdown, like Scott Bessent has said, is bad for the economy, and it pulls against it. And so they don't want to see rates high. They want to see loosening conditions. Japan liquidity injection is a big one. That's actually a really big one. You got a good point there. We talked about it briefly earlier, but there's people that are worried about some kind of Japanese yen carry trade unwind, and or what Kruger was talking about, which is that we would see the Japanese unwinding their U.S. debt. And again, that would be even scarier, right? Because then bond yields start to blow out in the U.S. Do you really think that's going to happen, though? Do you not think that the conservative, badass Japanese prime minister isn't working with Scott Bessent? I mean, if Argentina is working with Scott Bessent and Trump to make sure that their economy is good and they don't have to worry about anything in their markets and basically guaranteeing them, do we not assume that we are in talks with Japan, making sure that they don't have liquidity issues at all? I'm just going to go out on a wild limb here and say that we probably are. We probably are doing that, and that there's not as much to worry about there as possible. But that's another great narrative for slamming the markets lower. So it's another good one. I did want to talk about this, which is fascinating. Tether just bought the dip with $1 billion for the first time in their treasury. This happened, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday afternoon when the market was just really crashing and we hit like the 82K range. So it's interesting that this is happening. The Tether has actually been really well managed. It's funny because the narrative back in the day that was Tether was going to destroy the markets. There was even like one of the worst days in Bitcoin's history where it just plummeted double-digit percentages. And it was because of fear that Tether was collapsing. So it's funny now that Tether has become such a monster, one of the richest private companies on this fucking planet, most profitable. And now they're buying dips in Bitcoin when we're dropping into the 80s and going down 33%. They're just throwing $1 billion out here and there and buying that little bit of dip. Very smart. They're a sign of like what really smart investing does. What probably I should have done for this cycle too, quicker, is listen to my own advice, gotten out of leverage, and made it to where I was ready for a dip, even if I hadn't hit my targets. That would have been the way to do it. They got FUD for no reason. Always, yeah. They've had FUD for a long time. But the thing is, now a lot of those concerns go away because one of the things that we're demanding of them is that they buy U.S. treasuries and bonds, and so we'll essentially backstop them as far as liquidity. And they publish their information on what their holdings are now. So a lot of the concerns just disappeared. I do want to play this. It's Scott Bessent. He, of course, we love him. He's talking about why the Fed needs to lower rates. Maybe some of the jawboning he's doing here are some of the reasons why we're seeing a higher percentage rate of potential for getting a Fed rate cut too.
Laura, I think there are a lot of signals coming from the Fed, and some of them are very confusing. They said that they don't have data, and traditionally, if you don't,
I can tell you this: once we fire Powell, we're not going to be spending $1 billion+ on new buildings. We're going to actually automate and create data silos, probably like maybe use Palantir-ish type stuff, where we can ensure that we're getting all of the data in real time and understand the economy like a fine Swiss watch. We will not be doing the bullshit that we're doing now, where we're data dependent on data that's months old, and we don't have any foresight whatsoever. That makes no sense, especially in the age of AI, to not be forward thinking when it comes to what's going to happen in the markets and our economy.
Have data if you're flying blind. They've cut twice, and they've said that they're insurance cuts. So I would have thought that they would want to take out a third cut, more insurance, and also we know that under the Schumer shutdown that the economy got worse. So I would believe that the Fed should be looking at the data and thinking things could. We don't know where things are. We've been cutting, and we should finish the cutting cycle or keep going with the cutting cycle because, again, the fourth quarter GDP will have taken a definite hit from the shutdown.
And the last thing you want to do as the Fed is to lower rates several times. I think what have we done? 2 or 3 now? 3, I think. You don't want to pivot, lower rates 3 times, and then do it another time, and then wash back over to raising them, and then go back down again. You really don't want to do that. So he's right. If anything, you would rather overcorrect to the other side, especially with everything that we've been seeing about economic data and potentials for slowdown. And you can see it if you just look. If you look at certain things, like let's look here. This is a good indicator, right? You can see gas prices just plummeting for the year, and even more so again today. The only thing that's up is natural gas because you get a really constrained supply when winter comes around, and so the Midwest is consuming a lot of that in other parts of the world on our side. So you see that happen. That's seasonality. You see a lot of speculation year to date in metals, but now they're starting to fall apart this week. Agriculture is insane. Look at how much prices have dropped and how much they've continued to drop recently. These are going down a lot. They're going down like a rock. Most of this category is in the red. There's very few things that are actually higher. And even them more recently, like coffee and tea and things that were positive are starting to roll over too. And industrial, we're seeing rollover. You're just seeing a lot of rollover in the economy from everything that you look at. And so I think he's 100% right. We need to cut. We'll skip that. I'm just going to keep rolling through here. I'm just going to kind of take these one by one. I didn't update my bookmarks, so we're just going to kind of roll down the timeline. I do think Optimus is great. This is so sad. This bitch right here, for whatever reason, isn't helping this old lady who's cold and wants to go inside, and she's supposed to be a caregiver for her. Fucking horrible person. She should be put in jail. But I'm happy in the future that we'll have Tesla Optimus to be able to take care of people like this that deserve way better. When you get this old and you're this frail, you deserve to be taken care of and loved by somebody or something. No human being should be treated like that. I hope that old or that I don't want to say what she is, but that lady who's treating this poor old lady that way. I hope she gets that in the latter part of her life. She gets the same kind of treatment. That would be beautiful. Department of Justice just sued Gavin Newsom for giving illegal aliens discounted tuition, scholarships, and subsidized loans. So we're going after these guys to prevent that, to where the states can't give a bunch of freebies away to get everybody to come to their sanctuary city, to where they can increase their number of votes in the House of Representatives and do all these stupid fucking policies that destroy our country. They're not going to be able to do that. We're going to take this away from them. And I love to see this. And again, we are winning on a number of fronts. People need to realize this. Things can be scary at different points in time, but really it's big picture. Do you believe that lowering taxes, that reducing regulation, that empowering technology and the advancements of AI and again, wiping out things like the Department of Education so that we can put things back to the state and give them checks directly without all the bureaucracy that's getting paid massive amounts of money? One of the biggest governmental agencies is the Department of Education, and it's exploded in size in the last decade. It deserves to go away. We're doing the right things to make this economy and the market better. So I just want to reiterate that there's beautiful things happening right now. There's pain over the short term. Have a long time horizon if you need to, and be ready to batten down the hatches because we are getting better. We are at an age of abundance. Nothing I see changes that. Chris Carrillo, is it? I don't know. He's a technology guy. He goes, you know what I do? He goes, you know what? Want to know how much I pay attention to markets each day? And I think this is a brilliant philosophy. And he goes, I look just to see if the news event that dropped the market a lot changes my thesis. And if it doesn't, then I move on. And I think that's the way you have to be. Today, we're actually seeing the market bounce. We were down in the 81s this morning on Bitcoin, and now we're at 83.6. So it's just, again, I think you need to make sure that you believe your thesis and that you understand what you own and you have conviction in it. And that's through research. It's not borrowed conviction from other people like me. I think you have to do that. Otherwise, when shit gets really scary, man, you're going to make bad decisions, or you're going to be overextended into things, and you're going to get fucked. And I don't like nobody should get that. I wanted to point this out real quickly that Danny made this post. It shows that the RSI, it shows the Williams percentage, all these things, all these different ways, normalized logarithmic extension indicator, one of many different ways just to tell if you're closer to a bottom or a top. on the weekly time frame for Bitcoin, which is a good. The weekly time frame is a big time horizon. Shows that we're down near the bottom. It's a good thing. This is not the time for leverage. You want to be both safe and buying the dip, in my opinion. I've got over like $300,000 in TLT. I might use some of that today and buy some more dip. I did it the other day before we started screaming up. Yesterday morning? Before we started screaming higher, or was it? No, maybe it was a couple days before that. But we were like at a pretty good low, not too far from where we are right now. I bought a lot of dip. I might use TLT, but again, I want to save it. The last thing you can do right now, or should do right now, is freak out and sell a bunch of stuff so that you can have cash when again, we're seeing record levels. We're seeing the bear market bottoms of 2019 and 2022. The next one before that was like 2015, 2014. No, I think it was 2015 where we had a really big market drop. Or we're sitting at the bottom of the last cycle before that. That was before my time, but that's right around when it was. So, I mean, these are record lows. If you have extra money, if you don't, like, if you could borrow against your house, I'm probably not doing that right now, but if you could borrow against your house or in a really good position to be able to take out some leverage for a long time, years, now is the time you do that kind of shit. Let's see here, but he can shrug off big red days better than most. Who can? Liked your comment on Mike Alfred yesterday. Still think he's directionally correct. I do. I agree. I agree. And a lot of people get fucking crazy and they'll be like, Mike Alfred is a shiller. I mean, he makes jokes and he's sarcastic. And I think people struggle to understand when he's telling the truth or just being a dumbass. But the actual signal he has is really good. He's a very smart guy. Now I'm dotting. Jesse, you want to be safe and buying the dip. Yes, exactly. Book in tackles. Cash time would have been August, September. Yeah, exactly. Or early October even. Early October was not bad either, right? It was probably near the highs. It's when everybody's really exuberant, and I was exuberant too. I just thought I had time. I really thought that we would see, and that's probably the problem, right? That's probably the problem with myself and really everybody in the crypto space, is we were all so sure that the seasonality of this time of year would work, the seasonality in the presidential cycle would work, the seasonality in the stock market for this time would work. We thought, and the fact that we thought you have to have retail exuberance before you hit the top, and I still believe that, but we were tying that into this pretty package of a 4-year time frame because it just had to stay the way that it was. But if you think about it, if it's going to break, if the 4-year cycle is going to break, with what we're seeing, that, all this adoption and stuff, it's going to happen now. It's going to break now. So looking back at it, again, hindsight is 2020. But I think strongly that we could still see, I don't know, $180,000 to $280,000 Bitcoin, but maybe it's by the end of 2026. Maybe we feel the pain now. Maybe this is the bottom. Or maybe we do drop to 70,000 or 60. Who even cares now? We've been to 81. Who even gives a fuck if we go to 70 or 60 right now? I don't. My leverage is gone with crypto. So I'm ready to ride this bitch. I could add leverage if we drop to 70 or 60. And I would. So, and I'll be selling the shit out of that TLT, especially if it's went up and I've made 200%. You know what I mean? I'd do it. Yeah, we're at 84 now. So again, the more likely scenario is that we're bouncing right now. But could we do something weird where we end up being at 50,000 between now and like the beginning of next year? I think you have to be mentally prepared for that. But I am, and I'm in a position where I've got a number of things that I think will do well, even if for some reason we get some weird fucking washout like we had during the FTX, Luna, Voyager. All the companies collapse, right? All the exchanges and shitcoins collapse. If something weird like that comes up, I'm in a position to capitalize off of it. But I think you should be mentally prepared for two things: 50,000 and bouncing right here, and anything in between. That's 3. All right, let's keep going. Peter Dwan, JP Morgan is simultaneously short MSTR stock and now recommending to the MSCI to remove MicroStrategy from indices. So these guys are trying to make money and they're trying to hurt the new incumbents. MicroStrategy is the new banking system, in my opinion. It's going to be a forefront of that, and it's going to tie Bitcoin to it. Sam Altman could be the new FTX. I 100% agree with that. That's very possible. Again, TLT acting the way that it should. Let me just look over here and see where it's at now. It's getting a little bit of a recovery because the bond market is getting a little bit of recovery. And I think most importantly, the stock market is bouncing. So I think that this might just meander here for a while. But again, I like the general direction. It looks very much like we got a V here and a round here and that we're going to break higher. And I like that. And then, again, just the advice, no guarantees in life, but if you don't need the money between now and tax time come April, and you can even do payments if you need to, but you'll pay interest on them, but whatever. You could always, like I'm just saying, if you don't need it, you can ride this shit out and you're going to be much better for it in the future, in my opinion. So don't give up. And again, the CNN Fear and Greed Index, the other times that we were this low were the bottom in 2022, which was the middle of the year. That's when a lot of things ended up bottoming in the markets. Some took longer. Some took right over here. We had another big drop at the end of the year, about 4 months later. And then we just went up. And then it was just up. And everybody was making money. Again, 2023, I made 600% by quickly embracing the bottom. So my point here is, worst case scenario, we're 4 to 5 months away from taking off. And best case scenario, it's sooner than that. It's what happened after the April tariff tantrum, right? Where everybody freaked out about Donald Trump's tariffs. And what happened after that? We had a massive boom in some of the best markets ever. So we're down here again, guys. We're down at 6. We're down here again. So what are we more likely to do? I think it's go up. Not that we have to. It can change quickly. They say there's a reason. There's a saying that you take the stairs up in the markets and then you take the elevator down. There's a reason, right? I don't like. So this is one thing that I don't like. I love Robinhood. I think everything they've done for their offerings is so amazing. I think it was smart of them to do the, hey, we'll match you 3% for moving an IRA. We'll match you 2% for moving your crypto. Smart moves, right? And like a good company really providing a great product. The 50x leverage and just some of the, like, that's probably the biggest one. The betting markets and the 50x leverage borderline get to a weird place where it's about gambling and just extracting wealth from your customers. I don't like 50x leverage. And just, again, the margin requirements, what Kevin was pointing out here, I rarely agree with this guy on stuff. But yeah, exactly, JT. They're offering $22 million in buying power to somebody who has 6.2 in their account. That is fucking disturbing. They're trying to liquidate this person. And that's just cruel. And it makes me dislike them. And I don't want to dislike them. I like Vlad and I like the company, but this is more like the slimy Citadel shit. And I hate to say that because I don't want to talk badly about Robinhood, but I don't like this. Don't take this. Do not use this amount of leverage. You will be fucking wrecked. You will lose everything. Everything. If you took 30% of this fucking money and the market dropped a little bit, you're done. You're done. So do not use this. Do not think that you can actually just buy with this. That is incredibly fucking dangerous. This is bullshit. So please watch out. Please watch out. Now, I wanted to point this out too. Market conditions will be way healthier after this. Whether it happens now, a couple weeks, or even 4 months from now, I do not give a fuck. This is good. Wiping out all the leverage. All the levered longs are down here, and they're gone. They're just gone. Nobody is willing to leverage this market right now. And I can tell you, I've been doing this shit since 2017 for Bitcoin. And it's when all the leverage is gone that the market bounces. It's when everybody gives up and just buys spot. And look at all the liquidation in front of us. It's a massive amount of money. That's just going to 98,000. It's not even that far. And again, we're looking at leverage as a trending topic in my feed with 34,000 posts. That tells you a lot. All right, what do we got here? Yeah, one of the steepest drops since the pandemic. So again, this is a Black Friday sale for sure. Let me keep going here. This I wanted to talk about. So the White House announces, I was listening to people say like, oh, hey, there's going to be no deal between Russia and Ukraine. It's not possible, right? By the way, Tesla up 1.5% in pre-market. Cypher up 74%. Let's just look at some stuff here. TLT coming back down. That's cool. I just want this for insurance. I'm not actually looking to execute on this anytime soon. I just wanted it for insurance. So I actually prefer that it go down, if anything. I'd rather lose money on this and have the market do well. The S&P, what an amazing drop. But again, it could be a washout. Just think about this. Markets love to do this. They love to give max pain to everybody. You had a bunch of people that were long markets, like me, especially in the Bitcoin market, and probably with more recently here with HPC and all this other stuff, AI, nuclear, all this stuff, right? Everybody was really long in options. We know that they were at record levels. We know margin's been high. We already saw a liquidation event 6 weeks ago in the crypto market. Why wouldn't you flush this bitch right now? Just think about it. NVIDIA had amazing earnings, and the narrative had just flipped that everything is going to be okay. And the market's starting to run. And then you wipe those fuckers out. You wipe them out. And now the best fucking thing you could do to really cause pain is the bears are going to be cheering, right? The bears have been cheering for 24 hours plus for a while. And they're super excited and licking their chops right now because they were right. So you know the best thing to do? Just fuck them too and send the market back higher again today. This is why you don't want to be in 2x levered funds or a lot of options contracts that are short dated, because the volatility is just going to wipe out everybody. It's going to wipe out both sides of the curve and then just end up in the middle. So you got to watch out. I think that the markets are actually in a really good place. Iron up 1.5% in pre-market. Again, guys, narrative super duper bad. But now that we're looking at the 4 hour here, this is pretty. You got a tweezer bottom and it's wicks. It's not candle body. Wicks are better because it shows you that it couldn't stay there for long. There's just no volume there. And the timing, like the 4 hour, they're like, nope, I want to be up here. And then, nope, I want to be up here. And now it's pushing up against the fib and looking to crack up to peak volumes for the last several months. It's a good sign. Thank you for the gift, Paul. I appreciate you giving that out, dude. Ray Dalio and Peter Schiff doing their dance. Yeah, they're doing their dance. And the best thing that we could do to them right now is just fuck them, right? Just fuck them right now. Bitminer, again, Ethereum is super weak here, but it's also hitting some key levels of support. I'll just show some of that. So I do think if you were gonna buy the bottom in BMNR and you don't own any, this is probably the time to test the theory. But if you want to be safe, you're not really touching Ethereum or Solana or any of the shit coins, right? But if you look here, we're hitting like volume here, volume here. You could just see where it was previously resistance, and then where support was found here, 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 resistance, support, resistance. It makes sense. This is a very strong line here. It makes sense that this would turn into an area of support. And again, we can just see it, right? Like, let me see. Well, it depends on how you draw it. Let me do this. I should probably have it more like this. This is about right. You can see how we're a little bit mixed here, but how it was wicking up, trying to make a decision, pops over. You can see how it turns into support over here. You can see how it turns into resistance. It's definitely support over here. It's resistance right here. You can just see the pattern. And so it makes sense that it could just be bouncing right here. But again, it just all depends on your risk. I'm not looking to dial up the risk curve right now, even though I did buy some BMNR just the other day. How real do you think the quantum computing cracking BTC? You don't have to worry about it. See, the great thing about Bitcoin is it can do something called hard fork. So if quantum computers can crack everything, the smartest thing for them to do would not be to destroy Bitcoin. It would be to crack a bank or something like that, right? Like that's the stuff you're going to crack. It wouldn't be Bitcoin. But if they did crack Bitcoin, they could implement changes on the network and then hard fork it, and you'd be back to where you were and fixed. Ethereum had to do something like that in the past, and it still exists today. I'm just not worried about it, and I think it's so far off. And then I think I'm not worried about it. And plus, if somebody cracks, I think the combination of, I think AI is going to get us to quantum computing better. I think if anybody's getting quantum, it's probably going to be somebody like Elon Musk or Jensen Huang. They're going to get us to quantum. Not just the quantum companies, but like they're buying them too, right? And investing in them. Jensen's doing that. So I think their last objective would be to destroy Bitcoin. It's not going to be some hacker. It's not going to be the Russians. It's not going to be the Chinese that come up with, quantum computing and then destroy the Bitcoin network. It's just, that's not realistic. Anyway, so yeah, if you're more riskier, you could do something like BMNR right now. I don't know though. I don't have the risk tolerance for it right now. I wouldn't be adding to a position like that. I would instead be adding to the hyperscalers, and I might even do some of that today. Cypher is something I've been looking at, and I might look at adding some CleanSpark too. So if I buy, it's probably going to be those, honestly. We'll need Grok or some other AI system to truly get to quantum. I think so. I think they're going to be the smartest ones to get to quantum, right? Like they're the ones that are going to solve all the problems, in my opinion. But yeah, I like this. So again, we had this nice flush out, and now we're starting to see a bounce in iron and some of these other companies. Tesla's still over 1.16% right now. Arc Genomics is up 0.85%. Palantir's up 0.61%. There's a number of things that are actually doing all right. I love how Metaplanet yesterday was still up 3.21% despite everything that was happening. That was pretty fascinating. Now, it might be down today maybe because, again, the market just got really crushed yesterday, but we'll see. MicroStrategy actually hit the 170 level. It might have even crossed into the 160s. It was close. So, seeing a lot of craziness right now. But I think generally though, guys, I think we're finding the bottom. Let's look at. I want to look at something real quick. I want to look at the calendar if I can find it. Oh, there we go. Let's look at the calendar. I want to clear this real quick and just go U.S. for now. Don't want any of the noise. Fed Collins says cuts already done helped addressed risk. I'm sorry. So Collins is saying that the risk has been accounted for in the Fed cuts that have already been done. Is that what you're saying? And we have, this morning, we got Williams, Barr, Jefferson, Collins, and Logan all talking. So a lot of Fed speak this morning, too. Maybe that's the comment that you're getting from Fed Collins. Can you clarify what he said, too? Am I understanding it right? Yes? Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. But on that same note, and we'll see if this changes. I don't know what we're seeing 71% chance of a Fed rate cut now. So there's something happening there. There's something happening there. Let's look though, economic data. So S&P Global Composite for November. I believe these data points are coming out. They should be coming out. These shouldn't be delayed at all. And again, Michigan, consumer sentiment, all that kind of stuff, wholesale inventories. Looks like we have a few things coming up between now and 9 o'clock Eastern this morning. So that's good. We should get a lot of data points here soon. All right, let's get back over here. So another thing I wanted to talk to, the White House announces that U.S.-Russia war, that the plan that Mark Rubio and Witkoff have been working on is being agreed upon. The plan is now at Zelensky's desk. So it's funny, I listened to all this stuff yesterday talking about how we weren't going to be, how Europe said that, no, you can't do anything without Ukraine being a part of this and without us being a part of it. But none of that sounds like it's true. I do believe that this is deal making. There's concessions that Ukraine has to make. They might not like this first part. They might say, we want to do this. We want to do this. It goes back and forth for a little bit with Russia and Ukraine. But the U.S. is leading this. And when this comes to an end, this says Rustamov agreed to the majority of the plan after making several modifications and presented it to President Zelensky. So this plan was crafted to reflect the realities of the situation after 5 years of devastating war to find the best win-win scenario where both parties gain more than they must give. I think this war is coming to an end. I strongly believe this war is coming to an end. Surprised Strive hasn't dropped harder today. I don't know. I think a lot of things are going to stop dropping. Not that they can't still drop more, but I think they're going to be finding a bottom. Strive is down 2.3% today. Grokkapedia is now on version 0.2. I love this. I think eventually the majority of Grokkapedia and XAI and X are all working together to update information and to sync and to be used for validation on information and posts. We're fixing all the problems of Wikipedia. We're fixing all the problems that reside on other social media sites. And we're fixing the problems of authenticity across social media platforms and validating news information. We're fixing all of that with Elon Musk and what he's doing, and I love it. Mark Moss, when in doubt, zoom out, and remember, nothing stops this train. I agree with Lynn Alden. Not on everything, but she is brilliant. Emotions on assets go all over the place, too bullish at times and too bearish at other times, and always full of recency bias. All true. Meanwhile, nothing stops this fiscal train. I agree with that. Skip some of this stuff. Just in, a bill has been filed banning SNAP dollars from being sent out to fast food restaurants. So DoorDash and Whole Food Markets, hopefully, well, maybe you can keep them on there. But what I think should happen is we should do what they did when I was a kid, give people food stamps. Make it to where they can only buy certain food goods that are healthy for you. Get rid of the fast food. Get rid of the junk food. They shouldn't be able to buy lobster at Whole Foods. There's just some really simple things that we're doing. But this is great, right? We don't want taxpayers buying chicken wings and getting even fucking fatter. Or I shouldn't say taxpayers, SNAP beneficiaries and EBT beneficiaries just buying stupid shit. That shouldn't happen. Am I considering? No. But I'm considering buying other things that are an even greater multiplier. So, but no, not that right now. I've already been buying. I bought pretty good for Metaplanet and Strive, so I'm feeling pretty good. And I might buy more Strive. I might buy more Strive, and I might buy a little more Metaplanet too, and just some of these others, and maybe a little bit of MSTR. It's just a lower multiplier, right? It's already really, really huge. It's a $51 billion market cap right now. So if anything, on days like today, I'm probably going to be buying things that are a multiplier, not just MicroStrategy, which maybe means MicroStrategy goes down more because more people feel that way too. You moved from not buying anything or May the TLT to maybe. Oh no. I was talking about with TLT, two different conversations. I was saying I might not sell any TLT. It doesn't mean I can't access something else or use cash that I have right now to buy Cypher and Iron. Those are two different conversations, Obi-Wan. I was just talking about like whether I was going to use TLT, just to be clear. Caroline Levitt, almost a third of truckers stopped in Texas immigration sweep were illegal immigrants. So again, in Texas, we're doing a sweep. We're doing a lot of sweeps. And we're finding a third of these people are illegal immigrants. That's fucking insane. And a lot of them will have things like no name, and they come out of the state of California for their licensing. It's just nuts. Can BMNU recover, or is it toast? I mean, it's a 2x a day fund. So you're getting a 2x multiplier every day. And so if it drops, if BMNR dropped 15% in a day, you lost 30. And those losses are permanent losses because that money's gone. So 2x plus funds to the downside. The only time you should never be in them. Never be in 2x or 3x funds. It's just they have too many tracking errors. Theta decay. It's too many fees. They just butcher you. The best thing you could do is be in a call that's calculated and has some reasoning behind it. And I don't even think you should be doing anything right now. But BMNU is just a piece of shit. And could it recover? Yes. But you absolutely got slaughtered. When you look at BMNR or the BMNU chart, you're doing maybe like way, way worse than 2x recently because of all the chop and then just the downside positioning. It sucks. Tesla secures a $170 million mega pack contract in Australia. I love that. They used to be skeptics. Now they're not. This is a lady on fire that was set on fire by a guy who probably just wanted to burn a white woman. And that's the same kind of stuff we've been seeing. This was in Chicago. But almost basically everybody around her was black. Even as she was burning and laying on the ground, nobody helped her. Nobody. Nobody tried to put this woman out of her misery. It's fucking disgusting. We will fix this. We will fix these kind of problems. Again, this is a good place to bounce if you believe in Bitcoin market getting better. We've got principals that are thinking about assassinating ICE agents. You heard that right. Virginia High School, we had John Bennett and Mark Bennett, two brothers, one of them a principal of a school, that were planning to assassinate ICE agents. TDS is very real, guys. It is frightening, and it could get worse. We've got Turkish illegals that are yelling Allah Akbar while they're getting arrested. Makes me want to keep them here. Joking. And North Carolina's largest county, Wake, doesn't even have an option for Hispanic on its mugshot arrest database. So again, they don't have an option for Hispanic. In fact, most of the violent crimes that are happening that are minorities and coming from Hispanics or other demographics, they're getting selected as white, even when people are clearly black or Hispanic. And if you look here in 2024 in Wake County, 12% of the sex offenses 12% of the population of Wake County is Hispanic. But when they went back and looked at the data, whether using this first method or the second one to try and determine who these people really were, they found anywhere from 44 to 43% of them, of the people that raped people in the county, were Hispanic, even though they make up 12% of the population. That is a horrible statistic. Also, that goes off of this data where white by default, the viral posts were right. We scraped 5.5 million criminal records and 1.5 million mugshots from 39 states. 29% of Hispanics are being misclassified as white in official data. I wonder what states are doing that. So, and again, that's just Hispanics. But they're doing this to basically hide the data and not let you know who the criminals are. And the criminals are people like Francisco Luna, who was convicted of child sex crimes, or this guy, Muna, convicted of child porn charges, or David Diaz, an MS-13 member, convicted of murder, or Kevin, convicted on assault of firearm charges, or Lionel, convicted on assault with a deadly weapon. So we're picking up these people, we're documenting them as white, but now we're arresting them and getting the bad guys. 15% of Charlotte, North Carolina's public schools, guys, were absent because of the Fed, or I should say ICE agents coming into the area. They believe roughly 15% of the population is undocumented illegal immigrants, which is insane. Kids sharing classrooms with students who don't speak English and require interpreters just to be able to learn. Can you imagine how hard it is to learn when you're already underfunded and you're in classrooms where, a large portion of the class doesn't even speak English? New York City, 40% of rentals, 32% of public housing, and 44% of rent-stabilized units are occupied by foreign nationals. Isn't this insane? Construction sites have completely emptied in North Carolina because they're all illegal immigrants. And we wonder why wages are low in construction. My brother is actually in construction. Before that, he was in transportation. Transportation was decimated by illegal immigrants. They paid them way less. They might not even speak English, be wearing shoes, and they might be doing U-turns in the middle of an interstate. But they're willing to take much lower pay. And I think, especially for transportation, if there are deaths involved, the transportation companies affiliated with all the mass hiring of illegal immigrants should be prosecuted heavily for what they're doing. Scott Turner, again, this guy is the head of the housing agency. I can't remember the exact term, but he's, you know what? I could just go up here. Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Scott Turner. I'm not even following him. I should. He said rent freezes are a socialist carve-out for illegals. Rent is high because of illegals. Housing costs too much because of illegals. Inflation is high because of illegals. We should fix all these things. Illegals are voting. Illegals are getting free food. Illegals are getting free education. They're getting free health care, and they're getting free housing or housing assistance. It's the most insane scam ever perpetuated to the American people. We've got the Trump administration just banned Gavin Newsom from giving federal dollars to illegal aliens under a program governed by the FCC. He was hiding Social Security numbers so that the feds couldn't check legal status. Gavin Newsom is a disgrace. Now we can check the legal status, or we'll be able to check the legal status of these guys and go after people like Gavin Newsom. We're going to make his life really hard and all the bullshit that he's doing. Again, the NVIDIA earnings call was great. I want to listen to Howard Lutnick talking yesterday about our economy because, again, we're in a big trough right now. But when you look at GDP numbers and you look at what's happening under the curtain, we're getting ready to strengthen. And that's probably the case that the Fed would use if they didn't lower rates in December. But I still think they're going to, or at least there's a very good chance because, again, we're at almost a 71% probability of it now. Let's just listen to Howard Lutnick.
But the construction jobs alone, you can't invest $3 trillion a year without driving our GDP off the charts. You're going to see 4s, you're going to see 5s, and you're going to see 6% GDP growth under this president because the factory's coming home, the tariffs are bringing them home. You have never seen construction the way you're going to see it. And then when these factories...
Do you think that the guy who has gold toilets and who loves real estate and who's like, if there's anything Trump's been successful at, it's been real estate. Maybe not all of his projects, but he's definitely done well and he knows the industry. Do you think he'd not want to reignite that and that that would be a primary objective of his and that he's going to be successful with all these contracts from places like Saudi Arabia, places where they're genuinely going to spend $1 trillion with the United States with trade deals.
He's come online. Wow, are you going to see numbers nobody's ever thought possible?
I agree.
But the construction jobs...
I agree. I think he's 100% right. Let me see here. See what else we got. We already watched one from Tom Lee. We'll skip that. Talked about that. Catching fallen knives. Extreme greed. The world is, again, just being out of leverage. This is fucking crazy. In Minnesota, these Somalian immigrant communities were overdiagnosing their kids with autism so that they could funnel billions of Medicaid dollars back to terrorist cells in Somalia. The fact that this is a real title is fucking mind-blowing. But this is some of the stuff that we're rooting out across these liberal states with like Minnesota, where you've got just complete idiots like Tim Walz running the things. And Ilhan Omar, another just dumb bitch who said that her allegiance is to Somalia, not the United States. So a lot of this stuff is going to get flushed out. There's a lot of garbage like this. I gotta collect them all. FBI raids Dearborn home, arresting Hassan Choker on felony firearms charges and violent religious threats, reportedly including threats against non-Muslims and preschoolers. So just crazy stuff. Oh, hey, thank you guys for gifting the memberships and signing up too. I've seen a few of those, so thank you. This post I loved. Maybe we're not spending enough on AI, says UBS. So AI CapEx remains low in GDP terms. Historical investment impulses as a percentage of global GDP. And I'll throw another one at you that I think is fun. This shows in the 90s how much we spent as a percentage of GDP on telecom, how much we spent on ICT hardware, how much we spent on electric motors in 1920, how much we spent on auto infrastructure in 1910s, how much we spent on railroads in the 1800s. So we're not spending much. So we just heard Howard Lutnick say that GDP is going to explode, and then we're spending a really low amount of GDP on AI. So all the people screaming of a bubble, I'm going to say you're wrong. And again, this is just more talk about Tim Walz and the funneling that they were doing towards terrorist organizations. I'd love to be affiliated with that. Zuby talking about how the left sympathizes with criminals and how crazy it is. And this is where your snap dollars are going right here, guys. Fuck Donald Trump. Yeah, nigga, fuck Donald Trump. It's going to these fat fucks who are pissed that their SNAP benefits were going away or that they've got to reapply for them and try and work for a living. I want to note the fact that they're probably living in a hotel or a motel, a shitty dive motel, because they got their beds next to each other. They got the lock over here and the standard window you'd find at a motel. They're fat as fuck. They probably don't work for a living. They just eat, drink, and whatever else they do. We want people like this not to get money because you know what? I'm not worried about them starving because they look like they're at least 400 fucking pounds. What else we got here? Hit the likes, y'all. Yeah, if you guys could do that. Over 1,000 people were here. If you could hit the like, it's greatly appreciated. It's 7:50 right now. We got 40 minutes until the bell. We've got Hakeem Jeffries sitting on CNBC. I'm sorry. I can't even watch that. I don't care what that motherfucker has to say. Millions of Coloradans' lives were just saved. A random man purchased a storage unit only to find that the cartel, the Mexican cartel, had 1.8 million fentanyl pills sitting inside of it. That is a lot of money. Biden's HUD designed success by dollars or units filled. Under President Trump, HUD will measure success by the number of people that are on the right path to self-sufficiency, not the number of people dependent upon the government. Isn't this going to be great? Isn't this what we should be doing? Shouldn't we be incentivizing people that are homeless or down on their luck shouldn't we give them a carrot and a stick where, hey, if you don't want to be fucking homeless, or if we're giving tax dollars for things, you have to work for it. That's what we should be doing. I'm sorry. If you don't have a carrot and stick approach, especially for drug addicts, if all you're doing is telling them, hey, we won't arrest you, and here's a needle, and here's a fucking cell phone, and here's a place for you to sleep at night, or you can just sleep on the street, we don't give a shit, you're not going to fucking help people. But if you take the time to give them opportunities, to give them counseling, to help take the drugs away, to give them a place to fucking live, you can help them. Shouldn't we be doing that? Here's the Trump the comments from Trump yesterday, talking about seditious behavior, and then again talking about threatening Democrats with death. You know, normal stuff. What else we got here? Brilliant, massive breaking news. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Bill was just introduced into Congress. Bill will allow taxes to be paid in BTC exempt from capital gains. This is actually so fucking brilliant. I want to talk about why this is so brilliant. Imagine you're a holder of Bitcoin and you don't want to sell it because you've made a shit ton of money, but you have a tax bill due. What do? Well, if they let you pay your tax bill with Bitcoin and then you don't have more tax from using that to pay the bill, they'll probably do that. And Scott Bessent has been saying forever that if they do start to stack Bitcoin, and Trump has been saying that, well, I mean, people of Trump's organization have been saying this, if you do want a strategic reserve, they're going to do it in a budget neutral way. You know how you do that? People pay their fucking bills with Bitcoin, and you've just given them an incentive to do that. And so the Bitcoin strategic reserve is starting to pile up with a bill like this going into place. And I think that's brilliant. I don't hate that. Japanese hillbillies. So normally I would skip this post, but I'm sorry. Isn't this fucking cool? I'm sorry. I saw that, and I've never thought of the concept of a Japanese hillbilly. But I love that. And I just wanted to brighten your day a little bit. Hopefully it helps. Eric, breaking an incredible victory. GE Appliances is pulling jobs from China and relocating to Kentucky, where those Japanese hillbillies live. No, I'm kidding. Reading the news some days just makes you wonder. The company is moving to produce more domestically, $150 million in contracts for U.S. suppliers. I love this, dude. I love this. We're bringing it back. This is funny to me because you got the liberal left who are like, hey, dude, Islam's the religion of peace and we're on the same side. Let's listen to that.
No need for that. We're on the same side, bro. No, we're not. Yes, we are, bro.
They're not on your side. They want to fucking murder you. And they will. Welcome to reality. And this is, again, like, I've been listening to a lot of people recently. This is a young little girl. This is just a little girl. She's just a kid, man. She's probably like, She's maybe older than my fucking 11-year-old daughter. This is her husband. And I listen to liberals and they'll say things like, oh, but that's their culture. And they do these things. It's not like, So they talk about Trump being a pedo, and yet they can turn a blind eye to shit like this. The stoning of women having to wear veils. James, thank you for subscribing, brother. And little girls that are pregnant by disgusting fucking old men that are older than me. It's disgusting. Well, if you're here and you're Muslim and you listen to me, I hope you stick around. Here's the thing, man. I don't mind Muslim people. What I don't like, I like if you're a Muslim and you're out of Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates and you're not looking to destroy the West, you're not looking to kill all the infidels, then stick around. We're going to be good friends. Okay? But if you're one that does stuff like this or that wants to overthrow the countries that you live in, I think it's fucking shit. I'm right? Thank you. All right, we're going to be buddies. Again, I don't believe in radicalism, and I believe that we should treat people well. That's me. Replace public schools with vouchers. I love this idea, but I don't think it's possible right now, because if you do that, you could really destabilize the school system. And I don't know that that's very popular when you already have people on the left that are trying to say that we're trying to destroy the educational system and turn everybody into Nazis. So I don't think this is the approach right now, but I do love the concept of it in the future. I voted for this. Total federal payrolls in September fell to their lowest level since May of 2023 as the reductions in the federal workforce slowed but continued. I want federal payrolls to be lower. I love that. This is good. You could see where we started to spike federal payrolls here at the beginning of the pandemic. You could see where with Biden's help, we drew that line up quite a bit. Look at the 17, 18 range and just what government payrolls were at. And then you can see what we were doing. That's being reversed in real time. I fucking love it. Smaller government for the win. Apathy said, the problem lays with second and third generation Muslims in Europe. Those are the most radical. Yeah, see, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. You'd hope that it would be the opposite of that. Toby171, did you see Besant went to PubKey in New York City yesterday? Pretty cool. That's awesome. I did not see that, but that's cool. Obi-Wan 4-year cycle, alive or dead? I think it's dead. I think it's pretty clearly dead. And then, again, just to shit on liberals. I feel bad doing this. I really don't. But I do have a lot of people that are liberal that I know, and I would never end my friendships with them because of who they are and what they believe. But this is killer stuff right here. Literally, they're murdering sheep, and these are rare endangered sheep. So liberals always profess to want to save the environment and save all the rare species on the earth and all these other things. But right now, they're murdering healthy sheep that are endangered, that are again, no disease, and they're still calling them because of their bureaucracy. It's fucking sad. Can we discuss the QQQ? We could. The QQQ is the S&P. We looked at it a little bit. Here's basically what I've said. We got this large stab down. We were due for a retrace. Could we go lower? I mean, down to the 200? Maybe, if things get fucking weird, but I doubt it. I think that we could be looking at a bottom, and maybe Mondays and Tuesdays are really good seasonally for like the last 11 weeks or some shit. So maybe we do get some more of that and we see that pattern again. I don't know which way we go. We could go down here, test it. We could, again, go down further. That 200 would be a really strong line of support that goes back a very, very long ways. If we're gonna take a break, somewhere over here would be great, or we could just bounce now. So that's my feelings on the S&P and the QQQ. They're the same. Like when you look at the NASDAQ too, it's like the same shit. Even though, like, again, this looks like maybe could be a shoulder, could be a head. Really need to bounce up here hard and start going this way to change this. If it doesn't and we reject, then it's going to give a narrative of going down to the 200 moving average, which is the same thing. So, I mean, they really, but you have to keep in mind, too, on the weekly time frames, guys, we're so near a bottom. And if you don't have leverage right now, it's easier to ride this out, dollar cost average, buy when you can, figure out if you can borrow for a long period of time. If you can take a mortgage on your house. Not financial advice, but like if you don't have one, you're probably looking at really good buying opportunities that I think could make you a lot of money in the future. That's my 2 cents. Anything can happen over the short term. Kirby, liberals want less living in things in the world. I know it's such a weird concept, but they think that they enrich the world by killing us and the cows and keeping the elites flying around on their private jets. That's the way to make the world better. End all the billionaires except for the ones that are in the government and liberal. You made me a lot of money yesterday at 11 o'clock puts. Okay. Let's keep going. All right, so Grok crushing it. This guy, it says it's God tier programming. I think Elon retweeted this too. I built an ASCII Mario CLI game with pad-based double buffering, multi-layer rendering, procedural generation in about 15 minutes. What he's saying here, again, it's a lot of programming technical terms, but he's saying that you can do amazing things and create really in-depth program in minutes, which is nuts. Financial stress? What financial stress? So this is the St. Louis Fed Financial Index weekly ending Friday. And so what he's saying here, this goes back to 2020. It should go back further because then you'd see the massive spike at the pandemic. I don't know why they didn't get a longer chart, but you would have seen a massive one over here, a massive one over here at the beginning of 2023. And that was when we had bank failures. That's when you were seeing like the Silicon Valley Bank and stuff like that. And then over here at the tariff tantrum. And so what he's saying is it doesn't actually look that bad right now when you look at the index versus the fear that's being put forth. And I just want to remind you guys yesterday, this was a good jobs report. Now, is everything perfect in the economy right now? No, but the direction we're heading is definitely there. You just have to have long-term vision. I posted about a little bounce. Didn't last long. Unpopular opinion, we want lower rates into a reaccelerating economy. After all, government, companies, individuals are just hoping to refinance debt in order to lower their debt obligations. In fact, I would go as far as to say that higher rates are creating a lot more pain than anything they could do to lower inflation. I don't think they're effective at lowering inflation right now. Outside of like higher rates, the only way it's going to lower inflation is by creating a recession. And I don't know that those are the conditions that we're looking to provide right now. Or at least we shouldn't be. We're too indebted to have a major recession and not stimulate. And if you just create a big drop in markets and then you're forced to stimulate again, you get this weird shit, kind of like what happened around the 70s, where you get these ups and downs and strange waves of stupidity. I put everyone was praying for this, and now it's here. U.S. housing market, 53% of homes have lost value over the last year, the highest share of depreciation in 13 years. This is good. This is what we want. We want houses to become more affordable. We want to build more of them. I threw up some stats, and they'll be coming up, but I'll just say them right now. The average multifamily unit in the United States, 40% of their cost is from what was I going to try and say? Oh, I just lost my brain here. 40% of cost was regulation. Sorry, lost. 40% of the multifamily cost was regulation. And so if you think about that, removing that bureaucracy is really important. For single-family homes, it was 20 to 25%. But think about it. On top of the depreciation and value, because, again, they were just too unaffordable and you've priced people out, and so the market's kind of froze up, and then the existing home sales are stuck until we get portable mortgages. We're doing portable mortgages. Maybe we don't do 50-year. It didn't seem popular. I doubt Trump's going to talk about it again. So, but I think portable mortgages for sure. So you get the existing home sales brewing, you have prices coming down, and you start to do yield curve control to force interest rates lower. And again, there's an appointment that Trump will be able to do here. I think soon, and I think I don't know. I think they're going to find a way to fire Powell if he doesn't play ball. They'll be able to apply some pressure to him. Maybe he was on Epstein's island. I don't know. Making a joke. All right, what is this one? So Elon Musk put a like on this one. He said, this guy, Nolan, said, there was a time when I stayed up all night and slept all day because there wasn't anything worth waking up for. No plans, no goals, no purpose. I got a Neuralink implant and everything shifted. I started going to bed early. I woke up excited for the day. And just like that, I found purpose again. Since then, I'm back in school. I've launched a business. I'm traveling. I'm speaking on global stages. Neuralink didn't just change what I can do. It changed what I believe I'm capable of. It gave me hope. It gave me purpose for the first time in a long time. Excited for what's next. This is cool. This is what Elon Musk and people like him do. They build and they make it to where people have a reason to wake up. If Elon Musk wasn't in this world, I don't know if I would want to wake up. I'd probably be in prison, just with buying X, not to mention everything else. Where would you put cash now for the long-term play? I like the hyperscalers. I like Cypher, Iron, and CleanSpark probably the most. Bitcoin treasuries, I think, are stupid cheap. Tesla, I think, is still a good opportunity, but I think the Bitcoin and hyperscaler plays, I think, are probably good ones. But again, just be prepared for more downside risk if we haven't seen the full washout yet. But that's where I would start applying capital, I think. And again, Tesla just long term is going to be great. Now, there's other things. Everything's been washed out. So like, if there was a time where you wanted to get into something, like I don't know if Open's a great company and the next big thing, it went up a lot. I know the CEO bought $1 million in shares recently to show confidence. I love Arc Genomics. I still love Arc Genomics. I just want to show this one. I like this one as a leap play. Again, I don't know that I would be jumping into a lot of options, but if you're going out 2 years, I've got stuff going out to 2028 on ARCG. I really like where we're sitting. And let me just show this chart. I probably have to, right? So we have this downward trend line that goes all the way back to 2023. So 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, 4 years pretty much almost of this downward trend line just here from when we fell off the cliff. And we're now testing that as support, and it looks like today we're going to be above it. So if we look at this on the weekly time frame, it'll have been underneath of it one time, but otherwise it'll have been found support, underneath, found support. I could see this quickly turning into going higher. I really like ARCG right now. I think genomics, we listened to Zuckerberg talk about how AI was going to solve almost all of the medical issues that we have in the years ahead. So I don't know. Is Lemonade the one that said that they would do the insurance for like nothing for Tesla? Is that Lemonade? Where they're like, hey, we'll give you like crazy deals on insurance, Elon, for people that use full self-driving. Was that the same company? If it was, then I feel pretty good about Lemonade because I could see them doing a deal with Elon Musk. Elon Musk doesn't fuck around. But they have their own insurance too, but they're not out in all the states. And that's a really complicated process. So I could see, again, maybe Elon working with them on a deal. Yeah, right? So I think Elon even like responded or said something. I don't remember what the details were. But I could see that being a thing. But yeah, ARCG, TLT if you want insurance. Again, I'm looking at insurance from like a major drop. And in the stock market and then the NASDAQ, we haven't had that yet. I just want to be very clear. In Bitcoin we have, and shitcoins, wow, I mean, you just been getting fucked. But shitcoins can always go lower. But in the stock market, I mean, this could still happen. We could still have this measured move, even if you just look at it this way, from the fib, the .618 golden retracement zone. If this turned into a head and shoulders, wouldn't it be perfect for us to just like get down to this 6,000 level? Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I actually think that we're probably going to go up, but I just think that the stock market can still go lower. So think about that when you're thinking about buying dips. Jesse, I'm in the fetal position, sucking my thumb and need a hug. Sending you a virtual hug. I wore red today to try and cheer you up. Probably should have wore green. But I know it can be tough, man. Hopefully you're just, again, not in leverage. Jordy Visser, we got Jordy Visser comments. Rohit, Jordy Visser has been saying biotech is the next wave in the thesis in 2026. I agree. He didn't say specifically. He was talking about like Eli Lilly and drug companies too. So not necessarily just like the classification of biotech. But from what we've heard from many people in biotech and what we've heard from Jordy Visser and what we're seeing in the drug side of things, Eli Lilly is building like a massive AI factory to try and find new drugs. wouldn't it make sense that you're going to see everybody doing that? Everybody looks at, oh, people are just going to be using AI for their chat bots for like, Chat GPT or XAI or Gemini or whatever, right? Claude, all these different models. But are people realizing that there are going to be models for fucking everything in Discovery? Whether it be space, and again, you got XAI, so we'll just say that's covered. But medicine is definitely going to be another big field where you see a lot of biomed companies and drug companies building AI infrastructure, massive amounts, to be able to solve the problems of cancer and drugs that are needed for everything, right? Like all the genomic failures that we have in life, the breaking down of the human genome, all these problems they're going to be working to solve. So I love ArcG. I really do love it. I think it's one of those things that's going to be a savior for me over the next year, 2 years. It's going to be one of those things where I look back and I go, oh yeah, I'm glad I bought that. Just like how, and I'm going to hold on to it probably longer than I normally would too, unless the market just gets extremely exuberant. Let's keep going. What else we got? So again, just Grok dominating. We've got Israel has this weapon. And again, Anduril is crazy too, but this is a loitering missile that has 40,000 or 40 kilometers of range that hits targets in 5 minutes, loiters 25 minutes for intel, works without GPS because you got to worry about that. Because these jammers, all kinds of like signal jammers and GPS jammers will prevent you from being able to hit your target. So it's got a brain and it can think on its own. Based upon what it knows that it needs to do. And it can crush tanks and armored vehicles. These are just badass. There's so many weapon systems. They're making these things cheaper and better. I showed this too. So the only thing I showed here is that this is just a bullshit poll. And I don't even know why Fox would do this poll. They've got two categories. They should have like 4, or at least 3. Like, do you think things are getting better? Do you think that it's the same or don't know? Or do you think it's poor? That should have been what this is, because lumping excellent and good together is questionable. It's even more questionable to lump in fair. Fair is like okay, which is kind of like good to a lot of people. Poor is a completely different thing. Are some of these only fair, kind of like good people? This is just a shit poll, so ignore stuff like this. It doesn't make any sense. And this kind of stuff right here, guys, is the reason why our educational system needs to be better and why we need to deport illegal immigrants. And it's not because we hate people that are a different skin color or don't speak English. It's because they're illegal. They never earned the right to come into this country, and the rest of the world does not have a right into this country. Why? Because if we allowed even 2% of the world's population into this country, we would destroy ourselves financially and become unsustainable and turn into a third world nation. So we can't allow them in. But this is more disturbing. A woman talking about, I'm not even going to play the video, but a woman talking about how he says, hey, who deserves money more? Homeless veteran or illegal immigrant? She says illegal immigrant because the homeless veteran should have been able to manage their finances better. But people that don't even belong here should be getting money. I just don't know what to say. And again, just this liberal dipshit.
I'm fucking crying lately, but this is crazy, dude.
This little vagina is crying about illegal immigrants and the fact that everybody deserves to be able to have their children here. They don't. They don't actually. And that argument is illogical as fuck. Spock would bitch slap you if he fucking heard you saying this, because the numbers are absolute bullshit. We can't let everybody and their mother come in, and we can still have apathy or I should say empathy for people that are in that situation, especially if you've been here years, right? But we have to put our financial house in order, and we have to have continuity and consistency across our, not just our economy, but our civilization. We can't have people that are screaming death to America and Allah Akbar. And infiltrating our society and getting into politics. And we have to think about the fiscal responsibility and what makes nations great. And we have to embrace those things. So again, suck it up, dry off your vagina, whatever you have to do, but realize that what we're doing is for the betterment of everybody in this country and the entire fucking world. And we're doing by that by ensuring integrity of our borders and by ensuring that we're fiscally responsible. And that's just what has to happen. This is crazy. Another stupid thing in Canada, they're giving Aboriginal lands to all these people. And so there's going to be a bunch more lawsuits where tribes say, well, that's all of our land too. So I don't know I don't know. It's just self-hate is crazy. And again, this is in Dearborn, Michigan, and there's people chanting in the streets, "Death to America." Got to fix it, guys. Got to fix all this stuff. This is crazy. And this is a joke right here, but I wanted to play it. And then we'll probably look at charts because we're getting close to that time. This is a guy joking about the fact that, hey, boss, nobody else is here. I need a bigger paycheck, right? Like he's joking. I don't think this is real. He's asking for a lot of money. But it could be real. I mean, it might be real because there's a lot of people where if you don't have the illegals anymore and you don't have this abundant supply of people you can give nothing to and or get some kind of government contract for hire, I don't know, man. There's so many weird fucking things. But if these people go away, you have to hire the people that don't have jobs and that demand higher wages. And we want higher wages in the lower income cohort. And I know there's going to be people that are like, oh, the housing costs will go up. Well, again, 40%, 20, 25%, just regulation for these costs. We can lower the amount of regulation, reducing housing costs. We can incentivize extra build outs, and we can give people more money all at the same time. Hit up Clean Spark chart, please. Are they getting into HPC? Yes, they have been. And they took out, like they had an offering here for $1.1 billion, didn't dilute shareholders. I think it's a smart move. It's to pivot basically and get more into HPC. What a downward drop, down 57%, or I'm sorry, 58%, almost 60% from its high recently. Again, I wish I would have just dumped all my options based on timing. Would have been the smart thing to do. I only had a month left on their expiration, and I always talk about how I only do leaps. These were at the end of it. Should have fucking sold every bit of it. Sold 55%. Didn't sell it all. What a dumbass fucking move. So even somebody who's been in it and professes to know a lot about markets can still do stupid things at the wrong time, because again, the market can turn on you on a dime, and this certainly was crazy. Everybody thought markets were going to do well, and almost down 2/3 in a period of like a fucking month, 5 weeks, not even. So crazy stuff, absolutely crazy stuff. I'm going to have to redraw this fib here because this is such a dramatic move. It'll have to be redrawn to represent this. Anyway, but yeah, so I mean, here's what we know. If we zoom out quite a bit on this, and let me just do this. I'll get rid of, dude, I have literally the ultimate package. Do not solicit me anymore. I want to show you something here. So if we just look at peak volumes, we are so close. I mean, this is for the entire existence of this company. These are the peak volumes. And again, this is going way back. This company was like 2016, 15 or something. But this is pretty good support, right? So, and they're pivoting into the hyperscaler play. They've got access to a lot of renewable and a lot of good contracts for their energy, and they're vertically integrated. They've specialized in stuff like this. I think they can pivot into it. And it seems like Mike Alfred seems to think that too. He's had dinners with Matt Schultz, the CEO of the company. I think this company has been really, really well run, and I think they really did a good job with their Bitcoin business. I think I'm not touching leverage here, guys. I'm just not. Sorry, Kirby. That's not something I'm going to be talking about. We've got some stuff I want to get through. I talk leverage when the world is coming to an end, or maybe if a sector just gets utterly destroyed, then I talk about leverage, but not right now. Did you think CleanSpark has found a bottom? And it could, and again, that could work out well for you. That's just my risk profile right now. I would rather be long of these things and thinking about the long-term vision and be ready for the macro to still be weird. We still have the ability. What happens if tariffs get rolled back, guys? What does the market think of that? Bond market probably gets fucking destroyed, which would utterly crush my hedge and suck, right? I don't think that's a likely scenario, but if that were to happen, if the bond market gets fucked again, I don't think stocks are doing well in that environment. So I don't know. I think you just got to think about, like, there could be weirdness still, but you got to think long term. And so to me, that screams just own the assets, have a plan to be able to buy more if things get weird, but don't be over leveraged to where you get crushed because your timing was off by 4 months or 6 months or some shit, right? That's my theory right now. This right here talking about how the UK is uninvestable. So this guy is at some event in the UK, and he said, "I'm sorry, the UK is not investable." He goes, "If we have a project that we're trying to build out, and that project we're getting told is a 30-year time frame because of all the regulatory hurdles that we have to go through." This is billionaire family Scion says British economy is uninvestable. He goes, "I could do a project that would take 9 months, but because of the bureaucracy in the UK, it would take 30 years. And you can't do that." And there's a lady talking here in this video too a little bit later that says some similar comments, but the UK sounds a lot like California, and it's just something you can't invest in. Just talking about all the great things Elon's doing. I love this. This is great because this is Nikki Haley's son, I believe, Nayland Haley. And what he says is spot on about immigration. Again, he's on Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson had Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is a racist piece of shit who I do not like. But that doesn't mean I can't listen to an interview from somebody else that was on the show.
There are some, on the other hand, who are legal immigrants, who are children of immigrants, who are saying that's hypocritical of me.
Why?
No one should, well, because of my grandparents who immigrated here, which is back in 1969. And my response is always like, it's not 1969. No. We have a very different country. We have a very different set of circumstances. Therefore, it's then rational
So your
to
grandparents
adapt and
did
adjust.
something 56 years ago.
Now I have to do the same thing and believe the same thing they did, which I know damn well they don't, because if they did, they wouldn't have the progressive views that they have, because no grandparents had that progressive views.
Yeah.
But they want to put it on me because they're mad that someone with my identity has the views that I have. And they want to...
Oh, because you're part Indian or something?
Yeah, they think that I owe them my loyalty because of some decision my grandparents made, which is stupid because all I've known is America. All I know is American culture. I love the South. I love Southern culture. I only speak English. I'm a Christian. Why would I care about anything else?
Exactly.
Anyway, I think he's a pretty smart dude. Matthew Purdy said NVIDIA announced a €2 billion investment in the UK AI ecosystem. Guess some people are still willing to try. Well, I think the EU invested a whole $1 billion in the AI ecosystem. So now that's what, 3x that amount. So it's good that NVIDIA is doing that. Sadly, $2 billion for NVIDIA's pocket change that they found inside of their couch cushion. I don't think that's indication of anybody's willingness to invest in the UK. I think that's just NVIDIA investing, probably, I'm imagining, in lots of major economies all around the world, regardless of their status. But again, I'd say that's a special case. I don't think anybody's looking to invest in NVIDIA outside of maybe circumstances like that. That's my take. Anyway, whatever. I think that's it for all that stuff. I don't think there's much more to look at here. Let's see if we got any of our economic data. I wasn't really looking at it. And this is actually Central Time, so these things won't even come out for another 24 minutes. It'll be interesting to see what they look like. But so again, I think, where am I at right now? We could fall farther. I'm at don't throw a lot of leverage at anything. I'm at the world isn't coming to an end, but it sure feels like it. I'm at you should go out and touch grass and have a beautiful day, because it is Friday. Go have fun. Don't open up your balance sheet unless you got money and you're wanting to buy, or unless you got a hedge and you're wanting to buy. Just go out and enjoy your fucking day. Josh Mandel, it's Josh Mandel, not Mandela, but he was right about $84,000 Bitcoin returning. I mean, we got to 82, so was he right? Also, he said that Bitcoin would be at 444,000 by now. So I don't give any people credit like that. Rainy days can be beautiful too. Great day. If it's snowing, rainy. If it's snowing, you should have chili and Fritos. Fucking delicious. If it's a rainy day, get some coffee and whatever. Like read a book. Fucking enjoy that rain, and just stay away from the markets. And ignore it. Because if you just look at what the USA is doing, look at what the time we are in the era of technical innovation. Just look at the things that matter. Have a longer time horizon than whatever news event just fucking came up today. And you're going to be fine as long as you're not leveraged and you have the ability to continue to add, or you can just wait. If you can just wait. There are no beans in chili. I can't do a lot of beans. Beans can be tough. But chili is fucking good. You guys are making me hungry. I shouldn't have brought it up. Thoughts on CleanSpark earnings? I mean, I don't think they're going to be great. Why? Because Bitcoin is down substantially and just hasn't really went anywhere. And so their earnings might be okay, but like Ford, it's just not going to look great right now. I think the play is HPC, so I think that's what people really care about. That's what they're going to think of. But anyway, so I think, again, just be happy. Enjoy life. Look at the data that comes up. I'll let you guys know how this stuff turns out. And just go do something. Spend time with your children. I was talking to a friend who I'm trying to help out here. I don't want to give too many details, but a significant other has stage 4 cancer. And this person's been dealing with this stuff for a long time and probably dying in the not too distant future. And they're having to figure out, they want to invest, but they're having to figure out everything, right? And so I just, I don't know. There's so many, you could have it so much worse. You guys could have it so much worse. Think about the things that you do have and learn resiliency, and you will have a good life and you will do well. If you can't react positively to the negative things that happen in your life, you're fucked. But keep things in perspective, get rid of the emotion, and be grateful. I love you guys. I will see you on Monday, okay? Peace out.